A very good morning to each and every person today. Welcome to the final panel discussion of Lipff 2020. With us, we have Alice Kombani, who is going to be our moderator for today's session. And you're talking about the new era of filmmakers. We have Mr. Christopher Machine from the U.S. Embassy Cultural Affairs Office. We have Robbie Odongo all the way from Kisumu. He's an award-winning filmmaker. And we have David Ronja as well, who is going to share his insights about the new era of filmmakers. Welcome, Alice Kombani, and you may take over the session.
Thank you very much, Vigilance. This is the last session, so we are going to have a ball. And we have a very tight panel and great guys, our winners. So, karibuni guys. I think we'll begin by just talking about our films and a little bit about ourselves and what we are adding into the scene of Kenyan film. So, Mr. Odongo, you can take it away.
Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I want to appreciate Lipff Festival for considering me to be in this panel. It's an honor. I am a young filmmaker, not very young, but compared to the gurus in the industry, I consider myself almost an underdog in this industry. But I'm happy to be here. I have 4 films under my name. The first one is called Seredo 2, which was done in 2017. And however poor we did it, it was the first film to win an award at Lipff Festival in Nairobi, the best film in vernacular language. Seredo 1 gave birth to Seredo 2. Seredo 2 won 2 awards in Riverwood Awards 2018. Seredo 2 gave birth to Jonarobi. Jonarobi was best film in vernacular language Kalasha Awards last year, and I am sure it's going to win again today. It also won in the Coast Film Festivals.
Wow!
So
Congratulations!
I have testimony that nothing should bar you from telling your story. Once you have the story, you have the vision. I started very funnily, like if I tell you the one we used to shoot it in the afternoons. The idea was everybody was to come from their home already taken lunch because we didn't have a budget for lunch. 99% of the scenes we are shooting exterior because we didn't have budget for lights, so we couldn't manage to do interior. We were straining to do interior. Wow. Yeah, and we used to. I only minimized locations within the slum where I was living because we didn't have a budget for transport. So
is it
Sorry?
Is it the one that you took a loan to do? Is it the one that you took a loan to do? Seredo 1?
Yeah, exactly. That is the one that I took a loan to do. A loan that I've never gotten back.
Wow.
I never gotten back that loan. That loan was just to facilitate editing and some few things. It was a small loan. But then 20,000 was too much for me to raise.
Wow.
So it's nothing should worry a young filmmakers out there who wants to tell his story. Just go on, tell it with your phone. Yes.
Wow, this is so beautiful. We're already just feeling hyped up. Good stories. Yeah, David, tell us more about your filmmaking.
I am a 26-year-old filmmaker from Kiambu, Kenya. I've done about 15 films, including my short films. Before everyone got to know me, we had been doing productions in our village. We've done around 5 feature films that we screened in our local community halls. Some of them, our first film was called Motero. Spoke about a young boy who had lost his parents, and now his uncle was coming to take his home and all that. It was a family. It was revolving around the conflict within his family. The other film was called Matwa. That was one of the most challenging film we've ever done, because we did it 2 of us, Ziguna and I. It was just the two of us. It was quite a defining moment for us because I was doing all the crew work. He was doing the acting, and I was doing camera, sound, lighting, location, driving. That was quite challenging. But eventually we made it. That was back in 2017, and now we've been
27.
doing. Yes. We went back to shots. We did our first shot, the loss that came in first in the My Kenya My Story mobile phone competition, whose theme was mental health. It spoke about gambling, which was quite a menace in the country last year, and some years before. I spoke about Lady Catherine, who was deep into social media and gambling, and we also made another shot about gambling, which was called Familia. It shows the patterns that the patterns that you can see in your family, in your grandfather, in your father, that kind of leads you into your decision making as a person, because the story talks about it dates back from 1978, where we saw how gambling came into play, and how this grandfather used to gamble away the wealth that he had accumulated through a game of chess. And then it translated into modern times, where we see a young man who has come from that lineage is now gambling using technology and mobile gambling, and now how he's almost about to lose everything through that. So we've been addressing some of the issues that have been ailing the youth in our country. We also did this year. We did Automedic, which spoke about a bit of Corona, and also majored on invention among the young people. It spoke about a young man who's been left to look after his sister, and now he has to come up with a way to look after her, because she has some sort of a disease, and he has to look after her, and he had come up with a system that like an ICU system that he was using to monitor and also administer as a dosage for his sister. And now all hell breaks loose, and the system runs on a truck, on the engine truck, and now he runs out of fuel, and he has to come up with other ways of powering the system so that he can continue sustaining his sister's life.
That is
And
beautiful.
we did another shot. We have a latest shot. It's called Fast Lane. The trailer was out yesterday. It's on YouTube. It speaks about terrorism in our country.
Okay.
Fast Lane.
So we're going to introduce. Yeah, you have seen it already. I haven't seen it. I'm going to look it up, and we're going to share our links where we have we can probably look them up.
Definitely,
but before that,
yes.
let's introduce Ifua Walter. Welcome to the panel.
Welcome. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Welcome. You can introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is actually I'm in Nairobi, Kenya.
Wow. Okay.
I'm attending the festival. The Gala Dinner is today. Actually, I'm looking forward to the Gala Dinner. My name is Sipiwe Mbata. I'm a filmmaker from South Africa. I'm based in Johannesburg. I studied film and television at AFDA. It's a film school in Johannesburg. I graduated 2014. And then in 2016, I founded my own film production company called Favor Media, which is based in Johannesburg. And then since I started my own production company, I've written, directed, and produced over 10 feature films. And most of the feature films, we actually, they've been licensed by a well-known broadcaster in South Africa, which is Mnet, Mzansi Magic. They play on DSTV, and a lot of the movies were also self-funded. So what happens is my production company, Favor Media, we produce the movies, and then we shoot them, and then we license them to a broadcaster. We've received funding from the Gauteng Film Commission to do a movie, but most of the movies, they were self-funded, and they are playing on TV in South Africa. They've also won awards at film festivals. My comedy feature film, my Chansa won Best Feature Film at the 2019 Kasivai Film Festival in South Africa. Right now, my two movies actually were playing at the festival here in Nairobi, hence why I'm here. The payout has been nominated for Best Feature Film, and the two actors in the payout, and they've been nominated for Best Actress and Best Actor. And my other movie as well, my chance I was playing, and the actor has been nominated for Best Actor. And another thing as well that I do in South Africa, I also premiere my movies as well. There's a cinema in Johannesburg called the Bioscope, so I normally hold premieres, and all of the premieres, they become sold out and stuff. We recently had a premiere as well in another province in Durban, and it was also sold out. So pretty much that's what I do. I'm a filmmaker from South Africa, managing my own production company.
Congratulations, Sifiwe. That means you're a full-time filmmaker.
Yes, I'm a full-time filmmaker. I'm always shooting, and because of we also had a lockdown in South Africa, and since the lockdown started, I've actually been doing comedy skits from home, whereby I act different characters. So I'll play the uncle, the father, the mom, because we couldn't meet as a crew and shoot movies. So we have a YouTube channel which is Favor Media. So that's pretty much I'm a full-time filmmaker.
Okay. We're going to talk more about that, what David and Odongo does, because I know in Kenya we don't have full-time filmmakers. There's always something on the side that we're doing. But maybe Chris can add up to whatever it is that you're talking about maybe funding and being able to premiere your films. We'll also talk about the same, David and Robbie, and also Sifia, you can contribute to that. What do we need to have a successful premiere, a sold-out premiere like Sifia is mentioning? Maybe Chris, you can tell us what you know about the countries you visited and what they're doing that we're not doing, or even better.
Well, I think, from my perspective, I'm honored to be here today and joining everybody on the panel, and to bring a little bit of perspective from my life and from my work. I think the biggest part of the reason that my office mate, my coworker, Ken Wakia, who many of you might know, suggested joining the panel is that I have a background in some stage and film work, not much film work. I am on IMDb though, if you go hunting for that. But I took up some time to go to Hollywood when I was much younger and see what would happen. And I had done stage work before that, and doing film was quite different. And I noticed that working with at the time, the very first film I did was with the director. He was doing the LA Film School. He was doing his thesis project with them. And I remember it was still shot on film, I think on 38 millimeter, I think. And not like today with the rise of digital filmmaking. And so I remember saying just how much this film was costing him personally. And I think that's the first thing for any filmmaker, is that you need to know that you need to have the business skills, or at least someone with you with the business skills. It's not just about creative vision, lining up the shot, things like that. You need to have to be successful and to move forward. You need to have all of those entrepreneurial skills of public relations, advertising. It really is a team effort. I think much like it's any creative effort, is an entrepreneurial effort. You need to have the right people around you to stimulate and to fill in the gaps that you might not personally have. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you learn on a set. I don't know. David seems to do everything from himself, so he's his own team. But I do, on a set, it's a team. It's really interesting that the actors, you have to trust your actors, and the director is working with the director of photography, and the sound guy is doing his job, and everyone has to be trusted. And so you really need that team around you to find success, I think. That's, I think, one of the biggest takeaways for me from my time there is just that it's a business. I mean, as an American and where Hollywood is located, it's a business. I talk a lot about how my job is to facilitate cultural exchange, and the film, the entertainment really does promote exchange of ideas and thoughts, but it really is also an exchange of money. There's a big business behind it, and I think every filmmaker, every young filmmaker needs an introduction to that as well. And so, it's in this. The best thing you can do is surround yourself with a good team that understands that. And if you can have good mentors, like everyone on the panel, I hope is giving back to young filmmakers, or in David's case, even younger, and Sibiwe's even younger filmmakers. To share that experience, that's key to building that brand and building that success.
Good stuff. So David and Robbie, probably you can share what you think would be different if you're to make the most successful film. Maybe Robbie, you can start, because I remember when you were bringing Nairobi to Nairobi, it was such a hectic space in your life. I remember that time I was at KFC, I was doing something else, and then I heard that there's a movie which is screening, and then it got cancelled. It was very frustrating, I can imagine. So please give us your story.
Yeah, it was a very frustrating learning process. So as a filmmaker in Kenya, and as a young upcoming filmmaker, first of all, it's a challenge. Like if you take Nairobi screening in Nairobi as a case study, here I was. I had used 65,000 shillings from friends to do a movie. Then there was another 45,000 shillings that I was supposed to pay for licenses. Actually, I didn't have it, and I had to screen. I want the world to know that I've done a movie. So those are some of the biggest challenges that Odongo and Waronja will tell you that in Kenya, for you to do this. I'm happy KFC is having a discussion on this, on how to ease up on the licenses. I have a boy that is in your second year that I'm mentoring, that just 2 months ago did a short film. He wanted to submit that film to Kalasha, but he couldn't, because for him to submit a film, he must have registered it with KFCB. This boy came to me with 2,000 shillings, told me, Odongo, I have 2,000 shillings and I want to shoot this short film. This is all I have from my pocket money. I had to solicit for him where he can get lights for free from a friend. I had to talk to actors, people that I've been working with. I worked with them one by one to them and told them, this boy has a dream, he has a story. Please, is a one-day shoot, you can go act for him for free. That is how we got actors for free. Right now, he's keeping that film in his phone. He can't submit it anywhere because he has to register it with KFCB, and he can't raise that 15,000. So those are the biggest challenges, that if the film policy can be worked on, I'm sure there are millions and millions of stories. There are thousands of story makers that are down there. But if they hear of, I need to raise 15,000, somebody who was never touched even 5,000 shillings in his pocket.
Yeah.
So that is the first thing that needs to happen in this country for us to get a way to do our stories and to tell more and more stories. The second thing is, I don't know how it can be done, but the marketing channel must be worked on. So many people have films gathering dust on their shelf, but how do you let the world know that you have a movie? Like right now, for us upcoming filmmakers, the easiest way and the most affordable form of marketing is Facebook. That is where we
Yes.
can tell the world. But not all our target audience are on Facebook. I'm doing film in my local language. 80% of my target audience are the low middle income earners that live up countries. Some are on Facebook, but some have phones that they cannot afford those data. So we have to work on a way. I don't know how it can be done, but a way that, like right now, I am doing a film. It's called Bangaran. I
Yeah.
believe it's one of the biggest project. We'll talk about it later. But my biggest worry is this is a story. It's a story about post-election violence in Kenya. It's a story that every Kenya can relate to. It's a
Yeah.
story that any country that has seen a war connected to election violences can connect to. But how are they going to know that Odongo will be living in a small city in Kenya and this film? That is the biggest worry. Marketing and distribution. Yeah, you can get friends and you can partner, you can talk to David, we come together, do a story. But when it comes to distribution, maybe Mbata will tell us how distribution works in their country and we'll
Yeah.
go and leave because it's a big challenge down here. Yeah,
Yeah. I think
thank
even
you.
Chris can contribute on the same. But before we go that, maybe we can talk to David and find out how he has been finding his way around policy and filmmaking generally.
Thank you very much, Alice. I agree with Robin and Chris. To get your film out there, you really need to understand the dynamics of the market because it tends to change every now and then. Initially, what we used to do before social media had a good hit, before even learned about social media in the village, we looked around what the setup of town was. And we used to do screenings at a local community hall, and we used to do some bit of marketing, a small roadshow where we used to, there's a Mweshimiwa who used to give us his small van, and we would put a speaker on top of it and get an MC in the van and get some posters. And then we would approach some small businesses from the town and ask them, would you like to be part of us? And they wouldn't understand what sponsoring was all about. And we would explain to them. For example, we used to have a guy who was selling fruits and fruit juice in the town, and we approached him and told him if you could give us some small amounts and sponsor this the event, our premiere. We would have you have a small table at the event where you will sell your drinks and your fruits, and that was very new to them, and he agreed, and he wasn't sure whether that was going to work. He agreed, and he sponsored our event with some amount, and he came, and actually he told us he has never sold as much as he sold on that day, and that kind of made us realize that our approach was right, and if we could use the same approach on a bigger scale, then it would really help our the business aspect of filmmaking, because as Chris said, it's not just about the creativity aspect of it. There's also some business part of it, because we had invested our small amount in making the film, and so in trying to get the returns, there's a way and a formula that should be put in place prior to sending your film out there, and that involves a lot of understanding the market and knowing the kind of setup that is there currently, and also trying to make use of things like social media and other platforms that would help boost and get your film out there. And that is exactly what we used to do. Right now, if I was to do marketing on a larger scale, I think I would really invest a lot in understanding the market and knowing what film marketing is all about. And I'm lucky enough to have my associate Njuguna. He's more onto that, even as I major on the creativity part of things.
Good stuff. I think I hear what you're saying, David. I don't know. We also want to hear what your take on policy. Basically, I know you've won a lot of films that have been sponsored by KFC and Allianz, but what has it been for you? The permits, the licenses?
Well, we've been lucky enough to be filming deep in the village, so we might not have a lot of restriction in terms of licenses, but it is important for filmmakers to get licenses. That is one, because we've also been doing so. But as Odongo is saying, it feels a bit restrictive for upcoming and starters in the film industry, because when we started, we had no idea whether there was a body that was that licensed filmmakers. That was one. We had no idea. We were
Yeah.
ignorant on that front. Yeah. One, I think the relevant bodies should get their word out there. A lot of filmmakers here in the village have no idea whether there's a KFCB, there's KFC. First, they need to get their word out there, and also really explain to filmmakers why it is important for filmmakers to get licensed and to get registered with the bodies. With most of the policies, I really have nothing against them. I think it all boils down to how affordable these licenses are. And as Odongo is saying, they need to make them affordable for filmmakers like us, because this earlier on this registering our company, we registered our company, One Film Pictures, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare for us to get all the proper paperwork done, and we would really feel frustrated at some point. At some point, we felt like just giving up and calling it quits. Because one of the things that we felt is that the government wasn't really welcoming young people into, getting their businesses set up. It didn't feel welcoming. So on that front, the policies should be made a little bit, I don't know what to say. We should make them easier for young filmmakers, and also we need to have the relevant bodies come down to the villages and also educate people on the importance of getting these licenses, registering with the institutions, and also tell us about the benefits, because we've been registered, we've been licensed, and we don't really feel so much of a change in how we are able to conduct our day-to-day filming and all that. Yeah.
I hear you. So, David, you have not made a feature film that you've needed to premiere yet?
No, the ones we made was a few years ago that we premiered in our local community halls, but now we are working on a feature film that we shall begin working hopefully next year. Yeah.
Okay.
Our
Mad Love.
official
That was
debut
Mad
film.
Love.
No,
Ah,
Mad
okay.
Love. Yeah.
That was your first feature film.
That was not my first feature film. I actually acted. That I was back then. I was an actor before I became a filmmaker. I was an actor.
So basically, you can do everything in the film world.
I've been lucky enough to do. Yeah. I've been lucky enough to be able to do some bits in the filmmaking.
Okay, good stuff. So maybe Sophia, you can help us with tell us what is South Africa doing different from what we're doing. Like you hear, we have permits and licenses that you have to get. Like Odongo was explaining, before you screen a movie in Kenya, you have to pay for it to be screened publicly, and you also have to pay to shoot the movie, and you actually charge per minute. Yeah. So what is South Africa doing differently?
Wow, that's that's hectic. I mean, you have to pay first before you shoot. You have to pay before you screen. In South Africa, it's not like that. We don't have to pay. Before we shoot a movie, and also I don't have to pay. Before I screen a movie. Also, with regards to, it depends also where you're showing the movie. For example, if you take it to your, big cinemas such as your Stekinako, there they have procedures that they have to follow. Maybe now your film would have to be now registered with the classification board. So, but for me to shoot, I've never had to pay, and also for me to premiere my movie at the cinema, I've never had to pay. And also with locations as well, it also depends where you shoot. If you're going to be using a government facility, obviously you will have to get the permit to shoot there. Let's say you want to close off a road, you obviously you have to get a permit. But if you want to be using someone's office, you can just speak with the person. If you're going to be using someone's house, you can speak with the person, and then you as the filmmaker will pay the person. So that's how it works. So but that's how it works. So I've never been in a situation whereby I had to pay to screen or to shoot. Mostly I will negotiate with the person giving me the location. How much do you want? And then I pay the person. And when we as a production company will do everything. We'll provide the catering, transportation for the crew and cast. Yes.
So when you have to premiere your movie, like Odongo had his movie at IMAX, do you get to pay the theater hall?
Yes. We normally premiere. In South Africa, there's independent cinemas. It's a nice big cinema. It's like your normal cinemas that for example, that you would have in Kenya, at the mall. So it's a nice cinema, and since it's independent, you will now have to pay the owner of the cinema. So if let's say roughly, let me give you an example. Let's say they charge 2,000 Kenya shillings, for example. You would now have to come up with a way to make profit from that. If you're gonna make 10,000 Kenya shillings, that 2,000 will be your expenses, and then this 8,000 will come in your pocket, for example. And then you as a filmmaker now, that if I were to fill this place and do 20 screenings, sell tickets to people, do 20 screenings, then I can make this profit, So that's what I love about independent cinemas, is that there is a room for you as a filmmaker to make profit. It just depends on the amount of screenings you want to do, and also the amount of people you can bring in there. So that's something that I've been focused on, is growing my audience, growing my social media presence, because I know my market now, and I know the kind of movies that they are looking for. So it's just for me to grow my online presence, and if I can get the people in the cinema and do more screenings, then I always say that money is in the people, if you want money, it's in the people. It's just a matter of how many people can you bring in there to come and watch the movie. And if you are good in marketing, and you can bring a lot of people, then you will definitely make money as a filmmaker.
Good stuff. I think.
Can I ask
Sure.
can I ask Mbata a question? Yeah,
Yes.
Sifiwe, kindly, how I would just like to know how you guys handle marketing. What is your biggest platform for marketing? How do you reach your people? Money is in the people. How do your people know Sifiwe as a film?
With us, how we do it is obviously, social media, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, send trailers of my movies to everyone that I know. I will ask the actors, the crew to also send trailers, of the movie to people they know. So it's mostly social media. And also going to the cinema as well. And they have, for example, your plasma TV, and then they will play the trailer, and then we also put the poster outside the cinema. So it's mostly social media. And I think as well, I'm someone who's also active on social media. When I shoot a movie, for example, I'll be taking pictures behind the scenes. So I'll start marketing the movie day one of production, when we are shooting. When I have even in pre-production, when I have a meeting with actors, I'll be taking a video, I will take pictures, post that, so that people start to know about the movie before it even comes out. I create a hype around the movie, so that by the time we do the screening, people have been seeing these posts, and also I also sell the tickets to the people independently as well. So, if someone wants a ticket, I don't mind to go drive and maybe deliver those 5 tickets, 2 tickets, and then we'll only leave a few and sell them at the door, But to answer your question, it's mostly social media, it's mostly social media, and also pushing, on social media, posting. It's very important, posting your work, and I've also started doing, for example, like vlogs, where I will vlog, for example, something I'm doing, that's film related, not my personal life, but film related. And, such things, they help for you to grow your audience. And like I said, since lockdown started, I've been doing, comedy skits, for example. And I can see that those comedy skits, they have helped the company to grow online, because I opened a TikTok account, and now the following is growing. Now people know more about the company, so that helps, because when I release a movie, since people have been following, those people can come, to watch the movie.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Does your government offer any incentives to the arts world?
Yeah, the government is actually doing a great job, honestly. I have to say, even for me to be in Kenya, I actually got support from the government. There's a company, the National Film and Video Foundation, that they normally fund filmmakers in South Africa. So they actually, have an incentive whereby they fund filmmakers to go to film markets. So let's say your movie is accepted in a film festival, you apply, and so they actually, for my movie to be nominated, for awards and stuff, it's a big thing. So they actually funded my trip to come here. And they also, we have different government agencies in South Africa that do fund filmmakers. So they will fund your movie, they will fund production, they will fund script development. So they are, but as a independent filmmaker, I'm not focused on that. I don't believe that as a filmmaker, you must just wait and look at the government. I believe you have to find a way of producing your own content without the government. If you do get funding from the government, that's good. But even if you don't get it, there must be, a way for you to push. Even the 2 movies that are playing in the festival, they were shot independently. There was no funding, So I'm that person. Even funding is there, institutions are there, but I believe you have to also find a way to produce your content without, getting funding from the government. And another thing as well, it's very important as a filmmaker not to wait for funding, and also to create your name first. Before I even went to go and apply for funding, I produced, I think, about 4 feature films independently. In the space of I think 1 year, a few months. Then that's when I was like, okay, I can go and let me. And these movies were quality movies. They were ready to be broadcasted on TV. So yeah, and yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I think so good. I think Chris can also add about maybe incentives in the countries that you visited as a cultural ambassador, and maybe share with us maybe whatever it is that the US Embassy is doing towards the same.
Well, I can say that in my experience, the US model is, especially for the arts, is quite different than many other countries. The other countries where I've served, there is a great deal of centralized support for the arts. The last place I worked was in Hungary, in Budapest, and the government there is still very much is supportive of the arts, especially the theater and there's big theater scene and the literary scene, and as well as filmmaking. In fact, while I was there, the Hungarians won the best, the Oscar for the international language film for Son of Saul, a Holocaust era film. So there is a big tradition there of government support for the arts, which is in big, and before that, I've also served in China, where almost everything is centrally controlled, to a certain extent. And so you have to have a certain amount of government support for your projects, and for them to be distributed. For them to be distributed internationally, you have to have the government backing for those as well. But where else have I served? Cyprus, for example, there's also a great deal of centralized support. But the US model, maybe because we're so big, maybe because of our approach to a market economy, things like that, I think the US model is quite different. And there's some government support for the arts. There is a national endowment for the arts that does support certain projects around the country. But largely it's a private venture. And if you want to make a movie, you have to raise the money yourself, much like I think it sounds like here in Kenya. But on the same time, I think the regulations and the regulatory environment is a little bit different than in the United States. I think, if you want to make a film, you can make a film. It's not the government necessarily that's regulating it, except for certain health and safety issues that have to be observed on sets. But in the United States, it's the private institutions that are maybe more involved in the regulation, like the Screen Actors Guild. If you want to hire certain actors, if you want to do certain things, you have to follow the rules of the Screen Actors Guild. The Directors Guild, if you want to work in a certain way, you have to follow the rules and register your project with the guild. Once you're getting up into that level of professional of professionalism or professional reputation, I think that's sort of the goal for many actors and many directors to join these guilds, because that will bring you into that community of people who can, who know the network, who know, and that's also that sign, that mark of, that mark to investors and to potential partners in your projects, that you've reached a certain amount of credibility in your field to be part of these professional organizations like the Screen Actors Guild or the Directors Guild or the Producing Guild, things like that. And then regulations regarding filming are largely at a local level. If you want to have if you want to film in a certain location, you have to get a permit for that location, and that's given by the local commission or the local mayor's office or the local police authority, things like that, and you have to register with them. But I think in that sense, I think was it David suggesting, what is the benefit from registering with the government? And I would say in the United States, the benefit of registering with one of these guilds is that in addition to certain health benefits or things like that, there is a certain amount of professional support. If you had a question about how do you get this permit, or how do you find out about the regulations, for this historic park or whatever, there is somebody who can maybe assist you with certain amount of permitting and guidance on those sorts of things in different areas. So I think there is a benefit to a certain extent, but it's largely a private. I don't know in Kenya or in South Africa. I mean, I don't know how what sort of professional organizations there are, or are there chambers of commerce. A lot of places in the United States, or certainly Hungary, for example, my previous post, they attract a lot of filming by offering financial incentives. They realize, like David was mentioning, that there is a certain amount of financial benefit to having your town featured in a film, or having the film crew. I mean, as all of you know, a feature film brings hundreds of people. They would need to hire local caterers. They need to hire local transportation. And so a lot of these countries, Hungary, for example, a lot of Hollywood films are filmed, I think, what was it, Cold Mountain, the one, I mean, there are a lot of films that have been filmed in The Alienist, which is currently showing on Netflix, was filmed in Hungary, but it's set in it's set in like 1900s New York. So, but it's for financial incentives. So I don't know what sort of financial incentives exist like that in different places, or what sort of chambers of commerce or things like that. I'll maybe throw that out to the group to share your experiences on finding the incentives.
Okay, I think I want to talk about incentives in Kenya. Initially, it had never been there. Ever since we've been struggling. We had missing, been taking loans, getting funds from friends. But KFC started that program this year. The first phase of incentive. They have a lot of projects. There's a film empowerment project. There was one that was for stimulus that David Waranja did a very nice short film with. Then I am the first beneficiary. I am the first beneficiary of Film Empowerment Fund. Actually, I got 4 million shillings from Kenya Film, which I'm using to do the greatest film of my life. It's called Bangarang. It's on the Kenyan. It's based on true stories of the post-election, the events that have been happening, the 3 consecutive post-election violences in Kenya. So there have never been incentives, but the first one that Kenya Film Commission brought is one thing that I say, if they can do that like twice in a year, just twice in a year, they fund at least 10 films. We are going to be we're going to be at another level. I can say here, the script that I'm shooting today, that I've just finished shooting, it's a script that I wrote over 3 years ago. I've never done anything in it because I know it's a demanding script. It has a lot of crowds, all those riots. It's something that I couldn't manage on my own. I just threw it on my shelf. But now with Kenya Film Commission, I am able to produce it. And I'm asking myself, how many people are outside there with the films in their shelves? So if this incentive that Kenya Film started, it's a daybreak to Kenyan film industry. I just pray it doesn't end. I just pray for 2 phases a year. They've announced the second phase. I hope people are applying. David, I hope you are applying. Me, I'm still working on the first phase. But yes, from this year, courtesy of Kenya Film Commission and Timothy Wase, we are a happy lot. Kenya film industry is a happy lot. Just pray it doesn't stop somewhere in front. Thank you. And again, I wanted to ask you something. If David has something to say on incentive, before I forget, I wanted to ask Chris something. Chris, in your office U.S. Embassy, is there any arrangement for a local filmmakers in Kenya for any support? As Odongo Robi, I have a challenge in any form, in any level of production, maybe pre-production, production, or marketing. In your office, in the U.S. Embassy, is there any arrangement that any local or upcoming filmmaker can approach and get support from your office?
In terms of funding a specific film, we don't generally do that unless there's a very specific purpose. We're commissioning somebody to make a short film or something about the impact of the Fulbright program or the YALI program. So it's because usually we consider a film often to be a commercial venture, and so we only fund projects that have a U.S.-Kenyan exchange element. I'm not going to say we would never do it. If someone had a good proposal we tend to fund programs that will support the development of the skills. So we might work with our American Corners to support a program for high school students to learn the basics of filmmaking, that sort of thing. We might bring a speaker from the United States to talk about fundraising for films or film production, something like that, to give the U.S. perspective. We might, but in terms of funding, seed funding or backing for specific films, not that often in that sense. But we are open to ideas for if if you have a project that you'd like to work on, please make sure everyone has my email address. And if you have a young filmmakers club you'd like to support, or you have an idea for, I was just thinking of ideas to put like all of the regulations on one website, where a young filmmaker could go to and find, that's the sort of project I'd be happy to support, or to look, well, I can't guarantee anything, but to look at ideas like that, to support the process and to support the exchange of the US experience and the Kenyan experience rather than specific films.
Yeah,
good
stuff.
We have scholarships, and I'd be happy to send someone who is interested in a master's degree in film. From we have the Fulbright exchange program. They offer to pay for a scholarship for people to go to the States in many different fields. So we can support things like that, but not so much not usually an individual film. I'm sorry, Alice, I cut you off. Over to you, Alice.
Sorry. Sorry about that. I'm getting an abnormal number of calls now that I have to be here. They don't call me normally. Anyway, thank you, Chris, for that. I think the next question would be maybe to the local filmmakers, that is the Kenyan filmmakers, Odongo and David. What do you think would make your films very successful? Because right now the whole point of this panel, we're talking to the young filmmakers, and you are the people that we're looking up to. Even before we go to that, who are your mentors, David and Odongo? Even Sophia and Chris, maybe you can talk about those filmmakers that we feel they've gotten to where we want to be. So your mentors.
I can start. Okay, my mentor, for example, my mentor is Tyler Perry. So I look up to him a lot. Always checking, his documentaries, videos, mainly because of what he's achieved. He's also an independent filmmaker, and he's achieved. And so also what I've learned from him, is about ownership. About owning your own content as a filmmaker. It's very, very important, because you never know. Let's say Robbie has done a movie and he gets an opportunity to take it to Canada or to the US. Robbie can take that opportunity because the movie belongs to him. So those are the things that I've learned from him, about ownership, the importance of owning your own content and stuff, and being being able to produce movies with what you have, using what you have, not waiting to get that 30 million budget, but being able to use. I love what David said earlier on, that when they were screening their movie, they spoke with someone and they said, no, you can get exposure by bringing this and this to the premiere. And the person was very impressed to say, wow, I was able to sell more than, usually what I would sell to, usually what I would normally sell. So it's those are the things that I've learned from Tyler Perry. I know he's not South African, or he's not from Africa, but but I really look up to him, based on the things that he's achieved. Yes, that's me.
Okay, David.
For me, it has to be Ryan Connolly from Film Riot, because when I started making films, I had no idea whether YouTube existed. I was 2 years deep into filmmaking, and I kind of discovered the way on my own, learned from my mistakes, and when I discovered YouTube, it was his channel that I discovered, and earlier on he was also starting on his journey, and he seen how he's grown. Now he's about to make his first feature, and learning from his steps and his process of indie filmmaking and stroke of filmmaking, and learning that it's all about what you have, it's all about your story. It's all about being true to yourself and to your story, and trusting and respecting the process. He's taught me a lot. He happens to be a writer, director, cinematographer, editor, and also an actor. So I've learned a lot from him, and mostly seen his growth, how his channel has grown, how his company has grown. It has taught me a lot, both from craft standpoint and also on the business point of things.
What about locally, David?
Locally, it has to be Likarion Wainaina. His journey has also been an inspiration to me, and I've seen the style and how he tells a Kenyan story. That has really inspired me, and I would also like to, tell my Kenyan stories the same way. And it has to be Likarion.
Okay. And then the next question was, if you were to have a very successful production, what do you think you'd do differently or you'd need to do differently? Because right now we're in this space where we're able to talk about so many things. I am a producer as well. Sifiwe and Odongo are producers, and even Chris can come through as a producer. So what would make your film very successful? I know Bangarang is already being produced, but now we're talking about your next production. Your ultimate production. David.
That was for Ruben. I think, first I would build a really trusting team, because it all boils down to who you know and what they know. I would really invest a lot in teams, because that is the fundamental of filmmaking. Any filmmaking, you need to. I've been learning about building teams.
We're losing David.
Frozen for a moment.
David, you're off. Maybe Robbie, you can continue. Who are your mentors? And Robbie, are you here with us?
Yeah, I'm there.
I think David
Okay,
is connection yake imepotea kidogo.
So first of all, my local mentor is called Gilbert Localia. Actually, he's the one who trained me in directing, and I've been his child. I love his work, because he's somebody who believes in quality. Reasons that if he has to do it substandard, he'd rather not do it until when he'll do it to the standard. So locally, Gilbert Localia all the way is my mentor. I always say, if I grow, I want to be Gilbert Localia. But if I grow again, I want to be Tyler Perry. Yeah, I am
Tyler Perry.
I'm a lover of Tyler Perry because of some few things. First of all, from nowhere to where he is today, it's almost like me.
Yeah.
Me, I never went to any film school. Me, I just have a talent and a passion, and I've been doing it one after the other, and each film has been going to the higher level apart from the other one. Tyler Perry inspires me in so many things. He doesn't care about what people say. People will talk, but film is a business. He makes money. He once said, "You don't do your film so that you will never meet his films in the film festivals." But you remember, he was ranked one of the billionaires. He doesn't make his film for the film festival. He does it for business, and he does it. That is what we should do. We don't care more about. We have a huge population in the world, and you can't impress all of them. So just get your audience and do. People are talking. Which the latest controversial film for this one, and remember the name. People are talking about the Tyler Perry's movie or online, but if you go to Netflix, it was gaining viewership, and he doesn't care about what you say. He doesn't care because as you talk, there's somebody who's busy watching. So he inspires me. He believes he is telling the stories from his point of view. As a Black American, he's telling the Black American story. So he does not care about your interpretation. That is me. I tell my story. That is why I started doing movies in my local language. The Bangara, the one I'm working on now, is the only movie I'm doing in Kiswahili. I've been doing it in my local vernacular language because I am telling stories that are inspired. I happen to grow in the village most of my primary school and high school, so I know what's happening down there. Such a story I cannot tell in an international language because I will dilute the authenticity.
It
So
does make
from
sense.
it does make sense. So that is Tyler Perry for me. He does his story the way he wants to do it. If you want to like his story, that is up to you. If you don't want to like, that is up to you. And he's doing it to another level. And I want to do it to another level. I want his growth to be my growth. One day I want to stand up and say, people never used to do film. I was the second person to launch a film in Kisumu, and I am the first person to have a full house. When I was launching Film 2, the cinema hall capacity is 280, but we squeezed 450 inside the hall. I can say I am the first person to do to fill a cinema hall in two consecutive launches. So I want to grow like that one day in Kisumu where nobody knew they do films. The whole world should know. Like the whole world now knows about Talaperi Studios. That is why it's my mentor. Now about successful production.
Yeah.
I want to say to me, I like I mentioned, I need to go to a film school, but that is not a barrier. The thing here, for a successful production, you have to have a story, script. Story is key. Story is the blueprint of a film. Once the story is tight and is good, then you network, you leverage. Right? Let's say we are like 5 people. I don't know what Chris might be having a strength that I don't have. Sifie is having another strength. Alice is having another strength. Then that's how I've been working. I bring people together. Me have a script. You are good in camera. I don't have money. This is all I have. Come in with your camera. I talk to actors. I've never paid my actors except for the bangarang that was sponsored by KFC. I sit down with my actors and talk to them. I tell them this is my dream. If we sit down here and wait for money, like manna from heaven, these stories will rot. Let's do this. I've volunteered to write. I'm going to volunteer to direct. I also used to direct, act, and produce and market and everything like David is doing. I used to do that, but it's growth nowadays. I only write and direct. But I put actors down and share with them dream. Once they see it looks like a good dream, they come in and they act for free with agreement. Because and now it's because of those movies that we've been doing for free that made us eligible for this funding, 4 million funding that we got. So I to our young filmmakers there, the one key to successful production is always always network, know the right people. It starts from your social media. We are always told that your social media is a summary of you. If you only have 90 friends who are talking on your in your friend list, then you are having the wrong people. You should have people that are almost in the same business. Somebody you can share an idea with, who can either help you financially or with an advice or any other thing or materialistically. Then in that way you will leverage. Then the next way to a successful production is always be ready to learn. I heard David mention Film Riot. I am a graduate of Film Riot. I can say that. I am. I'm still doing my master's in Film Riot. And there's every kind of information you want to know about film production in Film Riot. The way I've been doing, if you go to my YouTube channel, Lakewood Production, and you see the first film that I did in 2014, and the last film that I did last year, then you will say that I'm a living witness that miracles are there. The difference is very big, and this is what I do. I do a film, I put it out there, then people tell me, "Oh, his story report, this thing is so nice, but this and this and this you need to work on." Then I go back to Film Riot and I Google everything, whether it's about camera, whether it's about directing. Any remark I get from my film, I go back to Film Riot and I learn and I learn and I learn. Yes, and always consistency to the filmmakers down there. You don't know who is watching. I want to tell you how funnily I did Seredo 2. When I was doing Seredo 1, the first film launch, we were expecting like 100 people. But we realized that our people are very hungry for our local content. They're just being underserved. Actually, we got 200 people to our surprise. We had to add chairs to the hall. Then after that launch, there was a friend inside. He just came as an audience. It's called Oye Koredo. After that launch, he called me aside and told me, Bana, you guys are doing a very good job. This is a very good story. I want you to do part two. I will fund. Funnily enough, like that. And I thought he was joking. 2 months down the line, he looked for me and told me, Bana, I told you to write part two, and you didn't. And now I say, oh, this guy is serious. I did Seredo too. He didn't have money, actually, not that he's rich, but he called 10 of his friends and told his friends, these guys have a very good dream and they're doing good stories. And I told them to write this script. Here is the script. I want you guys to help. So the friends could put in little cash. And from that point now, when we were doing the next film, we had the money for location transport, we had the money to feed our cast. At least now we are doing it to another. We had the money to hire lights just because somebody came to watch the first one and he saw the dream in it and he knew that these people need to be empowered. So just do what consistently, do what you're doing to the young filmmakers out there. Do what you're doing, then the world will start trusting in you. When I was doing John Nairobi, now it's now to another level. At least I could approach some film in Kisumu. Because now they knew, almost all of them knew about me or about my movie. It's now easy to approach them, to go sit down with them and say, I want to do product placement. If you happen to have watched John Nairobi, you will realize that there are a lot of product placement inside it. Those are people that if I'd approached them 5 years back, nobody would have believed in me. You don't just walk in somebody's office and tell them, I want to do a film, and they're like, who are you? Through the things that have been doing consecutively, and they could mention, oh, you're the guy who did that. Okay, I can't promise much, but I can feed people for 2 days. I can't promise much, but I can do you this. Now, through consistency in Seredo True, I had the companies that came in, small business in Kisumu that came in, and we did it at a higher level again. And from that, when we were applying for the Kenya Film Commission, they asked you your past work. What was your past work? I said about John Nairobi, which won an award in a festival that is organized by Kenya Film Commission. And I got 4 million. For the first time, I got $1 million in my bank. Story for another day. It's a story for another day how the bank handled me. They called me to explain the source of money. That's a story for another day.
Yeah, we need to hear that story. We need to hear that story. But before we go there, I think, David, you were cut off, so you can proceed.
Yeah,
I was basically asking who are your mentors locally and internationally, and then if you were to have a very successful film, what would you do differently, or what would you need?
Yes, as I was saying, and as Ruben was saying, it all narrows down to networking and also building teams. Because making my recent short film, we didn't have a budget. I remember calling my partner, Mr. Njuguna, and telling him we're going to do this film, and he asked, "How are we going to do it? We have zero cash in our account. How are we going?" And I told him, over the years we've been building we've been networking and building teams with other people. We've been working with people in their projects, and so it is time for us now to call them into our project. And on that, I had a very, I can call it a solid contact list, and I called them up some few days to the first pre-production meeting, and most of them, I think all of them were more than willing to be part of the production, and they brought in the resources. We had cars, because we had stunts, we had car stunts, we needed drones, we needed equipment, and we got all of that. We didn't really necessarily have to have money in order to make that short film a success. It came through because we had networked, we had built a relationship with other people, we had trusted them and they trust us. even now going into a bigger project, into a feature film, I would carry that forward into the making of a feature film. I would carry a solid and a trusting team. That is the most important thing that I would need to have in a bigger project. Have a solid team, have a trusting team, and definitely you're going to succeed.
Good stuff. I think that says a lot. And maybe to Sifiwe, what would we say is different in your country? Basically, how do you handle the My daughter wants to join this team. I'm sorry about that. So, Sifiwe, I was asking. I don't know how different it is. I know you guys are African, but it seems we are on another tire ourselves as Kenyans. So how are you doing it differently from Kenya? Specifically, when you're talking about maybe what they've said about networking, and also I think Odongo said the main things that he would do differently is just basically getting a solid script and a solid network of people who will basically finance and promote the film. What are you doing differently? Because you have 10 feature films, and like myself, I only have 2 feature films. Mr. Odongo Robi, how many are there right now? 4? How many films do you have right now? 4. And then David, this is your, we are working towards your first feature, right?
My first official feature. We've had some other features that we wouldn't want to showcase in the platform for now. Yeah.
Good. So,
That will be
Sifiwe,
my
what
first official.
Good. What are you doing to make 10 feature films? So, what are you doing differently that we're not doing?
To answer your question, I think the struggles that Odongo and David they go through. I also face them in South Africa. I also face challenges as a filmmaker. With regards to funding. Yes, there are institutions that do fund, but I also do face those challenges as well, and I also look for ways to find help. Or Robbie mentioned there that in one of the movies they've done, there were a lot of there were product placement where they were marketing brands because those brands played a part in their movie. So that's something that I also do as well in South Africa. But let me just tell you my story, how I started. When I started with my first feature film, before I actually shot my first feature film in South Africa, there was in 2016? I think it was 2016 or 2017. I knew about the broadcaster because in South Africa we have DSTV. DSTV is based in South Africa. And DSTV has Mnet, and within Mnet there's a lot of channels. There's channels that play local movies, that play local soapies, local telenovelas, local series. So I knew about this channel that plays local content. So I asked them, before I shot the movie, I inquired, and asked them what kind of movies are you looking for, and then they gave me a breakdown, with regards to the kind of movies that they want, and then I went and then I wrote, the kind of script that fits with what they want. And it goes back to what Chris mentioned earlier, that film is also a business. It's not just yes, we are passionate, we want to shoot movies, but also it's a business. You have to know who are you targeting with that movie. Is there a buyer for that movie? Who are you writing that movie for? So when I wrote my first feature film, which was IFA, which means the inheritance. I knew the broadcaster that I was going to approach, because I had inquired. I had asked them, okay, what kind of movies are you looking for? Then I didn't have money at the time, so I asked my family. I said, okay, I have this idea. I've written a story. I don't even have equipment. I don't have nothing. But I would like to shoot this movie, I remember when I was still in film school, they would put us in groups, So if I'm studying producing, if you're studying directing, if you're studying makeup, they would put us in groups, and then we'd shoot a short film and stuff. So, there's people that I had worked with in school, and we came together, one had a camera, one had sound equipment. Then I also asked my family, to borrow me some money, because I knew that once I sold the movie to the broadcaster, I was going to able to get back that money and then pay them back, to pay my family member back. So they agreed. Then I got money to shoot my first feature film, but I spoke with the crew, with actors, that you're going to get paid when the broadcaster licenses this movie. When they buy this movie, that's when you're going to get paid. And they said, okay, no problem. They don't mind. And then we were able, then I went around, looked for locations. And I'm also one filmmaker. I really, really work hard, tirelessly. Like I'm always writing scripts. So I wrote the script, shot it. I even edited the movie. I'm in post-production as well. I even did subtitles. I did everything, then I submitted. And then I waited for the broadcaster to get back to me. I think they took a few months. I think about 6 months. While I was waiting, I didn't wait. While I was waiting, I didn't stop. Went back, shot another movie, a comedy, submitted. And then when the broadcaster got back to me, they agreed to take these two, to license these two movies. And then when they paid, I was able to pay the actors and the crew, and I was able to pay back my my mom for loaning me the money to shoot the first movie, And once I got the money, I was able to I bought equipment, for my company. That's when I bought like a camera, I bought, a drone, tripod, slider, everything, lights, LED lights, GoPro. I bought the equipment. Because I knew once I had the equipment, it was going to be easy moving forward. Because when you have an idea now, you don't have to go and hire, you don't have to go and speak to people. You have the stuff here, it's with you. And then I wrote another movie, it was Stanwasami, which means my love. Shot it as well, shot another movie. They licensed the two movies. And then now I started growing, and the broadcaster started to know me. Who's this boy? Okay, you can see you are the. And with me, I'm that kind of person. When I watch TV and I see the kind of movies playing on TV, I aim to do those to the standard must be at that level. I look at the okay, which camera did they use to shoot this? Why is this kind of? And then I aim to shoot with that quality as well. And so even the equipment that I bought, it was expensive, but it was worth it, because we were able to shoot the kind of movies that they want, movies that are ready to be broadcasted on TV. So whenever they license a movie, that is ready to be broadcasted on TV. So I'm one person. I believe as a filmmaker, you also need to know more than one discipline. For example, you need to know more than producing. You must not just be a producer, know directing as well, know how to write scripts, know how to edit. Because if you're gonna pay people later, you might not find an editor who's willing to edit your movie for free at that moment. So it's important when you know how to edit, you can edit your movie. You don't have to wait for someone, to edit your movie, because if I'm not paying you now, you won't put in the same work, because you want money now. So it's much easier when you know how to do certain things. You can do them, So I started. That's how I grew. With the equipment, I was able to now write more movies. I was able to now go to different provinces. I've shot in another province. I've shot, I think, in about 3 provinces in South Africa. I went to provinces where there was no film. Where there was no movies that had been done. And I was like, are we gonna shoot a movie here? And at that time, there was no funding. There was nothing. And would go to that province where I've never been, and would search for locations, would speak with the local people. And it's what Robbie said, that people love to see their own content. People want to, people become happy when they see their own supermarket in the movie. When you're showing with your drone a supermarket or a school, and they become so happy. I know this is where I grew up. And I went to that province. We premiered the movie in that province. And then now, as a company, we are at a place where now companies are now approaching us to shoot movies for them. Recently we shot a movie where a client said, "Can you send me a budget? And then write for me the script." And then I sent them the budget. This is how much I would charge to write the script. This is how much I would charge to shoot for the movie for you using our equipment. So we're at that level where now we do have clients asking us, "Can you shoot a movie for us?" And then we do shoot the movie for them. But I just, it was one movie after one movie. But before I shot the first feature film, I started with the short film. I did about 4 or 5 short films. And then once I saw, okay, this is how, if I can shoot a short film in what, and with me, I shoot a feature film in about 4 days, if not 4 days or 3 days, 1 hour to 30 minutes, feature film. I shoot it in those number of days. So I'm even now writing my book, which is called the 3-4 shooting format, where I explain about how to shoot movies as independent filmmakers. The format that I'm using, to shoot movies. I speak about it in the book. So yeah, but that's how I grew. Started with short films, then shot my first feature film, but then all the movies were also premiered. So that's one thing that I also did as well. For me to grow, it's the premieres. The premieres really have helped the company, because like what Robbie said, you never know who's watching, and that's something that I've learned a lot as well, that you never know who's watching. Someone could be there in the audience and they'll love the movie and they will say, "Can I sponsor you with this?" I know someone who's for a movie. I know Alice Kombani knows a distributor, give me the movie. So you never know, so, but that's how I grew.
Good stuff. So what I'm getting, yes, Chris?
Oh, sorry. I just I was going to say the concept of knowing your audience as well. I just wanted to mention, the film is exchange. It's now gone more global than ever. It's not just Hollywood blockbusters on your Netflix account. I'm here in Kenya and I open up my Netflix and I see Indian films, I see Kenyan films, I see Nigerian films, I see South African television series. The content is available to a worldwide audience these days, and I think so the more you research, and like Sophie was saying, the more the stories that resonate with everybody, and the stories that are interesting to different markets, and the quality. The quality that an international distributor like Netflix or what's the one, DocuBox, the one founded by a Kenyan, Judy Kabinge, they have a certain quality and a certain standard. And if you want to, that sort of, it doesn't hurt to do your research. What are they buying? What is the quality? What is the standard that they're looking for? Because I think every filmmaker, every actor, you want the big blockbuster to pay for the passion project. For every, you have those actors out there who will do the really big Marvel Comics movie in order to find, then they can do all of their little passion projects. So I think a career is a good balance. Anyway, sorry, that's my comment there.
Good stuff. I am in agreement with that. I think that's very key. I think Odongo and David were learning a lot on this. Sifiwe, thank you for all that. And I think moving on to the next thing, what I'm gathering is that in South Africa, they have a very good culture, cinema-going culture, which is not true for Kenya. Right, Odongo and Robbie? So I don't know what you guys are doing, the Kenyan filmmakers are doing, to bring the people to the cinema. I know all of us are young filmmakers, but I know that we are the future, and basically we're the people who are going to hold this industry down to make it possible for other filmmakers to come in and thrive. So what are you doing, David and Odongo, to bring people to the cinema?
Before they answer the question, I would like to add, Alice, that even in South Africa as well, there is a challenge of people going to the cinema as well. So it's not only in Kenya, we do have that problem as well, where a local movie will underperform, at the cinema. So it's there. So I think it's us, with me, I've been screening at independent cinemas. So it's about us as filmmakers reaching our audience. So I think there's a gap between us, the content creators, and the audience. And if we can, remove that gap that's there, then it's gonna be easy to have a lot of people going to, and also focusing mostly on marketing as well. It's very important, because I feel like that's something that we also tend to neglect as filmmakers, where we've done a movie but we haven't thought of the marketing. So just wanted to add, sorry to cut you off, that the challenge that is here in Kenya with regard to locals going to watch a movie at cinema, we still have it in South Africa as well.
Okay, because I know for certain the US and the Europe sector, they have a cinema going culture, and like maybe I don't know if it's an African problem, because even right now when we're talking about the IMAX screens, Odongo, maybe you might have experienced it. We have the Indian movies, the Bollywood movies have a 100% seats they're filled, but local films not the same. Maybe Robbie, you can start.
Okay. With the Kenya film going culture, I want to say this: we have a poor culture, but we can't blame our audience. I told you, when I launched the first movie in Kisumu, I was expecting 100 people and below, but we got 200 people. Then the next one, we got 450 people. Then we realized that these people, not that they don't like our content, they don't have information about our content. They don't know we do. We are underfeeding them. So the first thing is, do they know do they know David Waronja is doing a film? Do they know there's a film around? And I want to, according to me, I take our local TV station to blame, because we have local TV stations that are airing Filipino and Nigerian movies in the prime hours, when our audience should be watching our production. It's the TV that inform the people there that Kenyans have films. If they watch our films on TV, then they will know. If you go to I've met so many weird remarks when I go to sell tickets. Like, this is a Kisumu movie. Do you guys do Kisumu? And then they even call it Oga. Is this a Kisumu Oga? As in their mind, they only know only Nigerians do movies, because our local stations are showing them Nigerians and the Filipinos on the prime hours. So if I just pray there will be a time when in the prime hours in our local TV station we only watch Kenyan content. Then the next challenge is our cinemas. Most of the cinemas we have around are high-end cinemas, which to people, they know those are for the rich. If you tell somebody I'm going to premiere my movie at IMAX, it's like, IMAX, those are for the people who drive. So I think there should be a setup, maybe from the government part of it, so that we have cinema halls almost locally, a low standard cinema hall. Not the one that I can pay 10,000 and screen in, which means I will need people to pay even as low as 300 or 200. But once I pay a cinema hall 30 to 40, I'll have to charge up to 1,000, which is, the target audience are the low middle income earners. There are a lot of people there that if you can reach them. But there are people those are the people that our TV station have made it to believe that there are no Kenyan movies, or there are no good Kenyan movies. There are people that the available cinema halls have made them believe that cinema halls are only for the rich. So with me, what I'm planning to do with my next film, Bangarang, is I want to do 3 major screenings in the 3 big cities, Kisumu, Nairobi, Mombasa. Then I want to do local screenings. I just get a projector, a public address, and I go market to market. I know it's going to cost me, but I know it's something that I'll reap in the next movie. People will have known that, oh, this is the guy who brought us the next good movie. Let's go and watch. That is I want to reach. If our TVs cannot help me reach them, I want to reach them on my own. And that is something we can do with the network. Just for instance, if in my area I can liaise with David Waronja, so that when he has a film, I help him screen in my place, so that I can also go screen in his place with him as a fixer. Yes. Then we are opening up our markets, and that's it's not that our people don't like coming to watch our movies. It's just that they don't have information. They don't know we can do good movies. They don't know they can watch it at a cheaper price. So once we work on that, we'll solve this problem. Yeah, we have screened a movie at Kenya Cinema, a hall that carries 1,000 people, and I had less than 10 people in the hall. I know what it is. I know what it is. Screen to 10 people in a 1,000 capacity hall. But most of the people don't know because you have to advertise to them. If they're not on social media, you have to go through radio or through TV, which is damn expensive.
Yeah.
That's why you get when most of the movies that if they get funds that they can run adverts on the local radio stations and on TV stations, people will come because now people know about it. But me and David, we can't afford to run an advert on TV. So we have to get a way to reach the people. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. What do you think, David?
100% I agree with Robbie. It's all about marketing, marketing, marketing. And I think culture comes through practice. When you do something and do it again and then do it again, and eventually you get a culture.
I think David the internet is a bit problematic. So probably we can handle a question that McLeod from Accra, Ghana is asking, if we can share some structures that we're putting down in our different outfits that we're able to collaborate with other filmmakers, maybe worldwide. So maybe we can start with Sifiwe. What are you doing to accommodate other filmmakers? Probably maybe say you want, in your next production, you want to work with Robbie and vice versa.
Yes, yes. I think it's something that we would have to discuss, because what I know is I think when we now targeting your big distributors such as Netflix, it would be nice to have a movie with scenes in Kenya, for example, and with scenes in South Africa, So with regards to collaboration between filmmakers from South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, it's something we would have to, have a discussion, as to how we can work around it, But I don't know. It's possible. It's something that can happen, because we just need to talk, what are you bringing to the table? What is this person bringing to the table? If you are in South Africa and I'm in Nairobi, how, if you come to Nairobi, do you sleep at my house, so that you are part of the production? When you come to South Africa, do you sleep at my house? And then, so it's, I think it's something which is doable. Filmmakers from other countries can definitely work together, and that's something now I'm also looking at. It's to how do we now reach that worldwide audience? And I guess it's us now doing movies. Yes, we do love doing movies in our own native languages, but also doing movies, for example, in English. Because English is global. Everyone in the world knows English. So that's something we also need to start looking at as filmmakers. Can we do movies that are in English so that we can accommodate someone, for example, in the USA, so that Netflix can be interested in licensing this movie? So I'm at a point where I am now looking for ways to now distribute internationally, and that's me, looking at what is working, internationally. We are seeing Nollywood movies on Netflix, for example, and most of the movies that I see from Nollywood, in fact, all that I've seen, mostly they're in English. So I think it's something we need to also start looking at as filmmakers, doing movies in English, quality movies that international broadcasters will want, which in terms of, do they want 4K? Do they want the movie to be shot in 4K, 2K? What is it that they want? And then we start doing movies that are, in line with what they want. But I'm open to working with filmmakers from different countries. It's not a problem. It's just a matter of us coming together and talking, and what is it that we can do together, because if it's going to be beneficial, financially, because at the end, film is a business. We also want to make money in film. So how is it, if I'm a filmmaker from South Africa and a filmmaker from Nairobi, us working together, financially, will it really help us, or are we going to work at the loss? If we shoot a movie here, have scenes in South Africa and Nairobi, we now know that we have two markets now. We have people in Nairobi who are going to be interested to watch the movie. We have people in South Africa who are going to be interested to watch the movie. So those are things that we can look at. But I'm open to working with international filmmakers. It's I've never had a problem with it. Even most of my people that I work with in South Africa, some of them, they are not South Africans. They came to South Africa to study. We met at university. I have a good friend from Zimbabwe. We are very close friends. We work together as a scriptwriter as well. So yeah, so I'm really open with working with and I just wanted to add on what Robbie said about doing screenings in communities. That's something that we really need to start also looking at. There's a good friend of mine from South Africa. I know he's watching, Keith, that we normally speak with about doing screenings in the townships, going to the township with your projector, doing screenings in community halls. I believe that if we were to do that as filmmakers, we can definitely make money. Because we must not give our people a reason not to go to the cinema, because sometimes you find that the cinema is 1 hour away, 30 minutes away. When you're thinking of using public transport, you're like, how will I get there? But if the movie is screening just down the road from where you stay, you are likely to go and watch it. People in that area are likely to go and watch it. And if people pay 100 Kenya shillings, imagine if you have 1,000 people or 500 people in there, that's a lot of money, for example, that you are making as a filmmaker.
I think Robbie and David, you can contribute your bit.
Sorry, I think my internet is acting up today. As I was saying, it's all about marketing. The first time I went to theater, I went to watch an international movie, Avengers Infinity Wars. And that kind of tells you how marketing is really crucial for any filmmaker in the country and internationally, because I got to learn about the Marvel franchise in Avengers, but I never, prior to that, I didn't know a lot about Kenyan films and whether they were screening in cinemas. And it is really important to market your film intensively, as Sifiwe and Robbie are saying, because our very first screening at the community hall was very successful. We actually sold advanced tickets, and which was something very new to guys in the village. We had a hard time explaining to them that we would sell you a ticket, give us the money, then come to the hall and watch a film. And they were asking why not just come to the hall and pay at the gate. And we had a lot of back and forth and really explaining to them. And eventually they understood what we were doing. We got sponsors and we got to pay for the hall. And came the day of the screening, we actually sold out the tickets, and we had more people waiting for the screening outside. Even after we sold out all the tickets, we had more people waiting for the screening outside, and so we had to kick the people who are in the hall after watching the film. And so we had 2 screenings in one day. It comes through marketing, because we didn't take it lightly. As I said earlier, we did a lot of poster around the village, the shops, the hotels, the roads, and we also did we played the trailer a week to the screening. We used to have evening screenings where we would play a trailer on a projector at the township, and guys would really come in the evening and watch some the trailers, and also watch some previous works that we've done. And it is true, people love cinema. They love watching
This is such positive vibes coming from you. I think then it's true that charity starts at home. I don't know what you have to say about that, Chris.
Well, I had more to the idea of the international collaboration. I think it was what I was considering, that if you want to build the international audience, you have to you speak to an international audience. And I think as you develop your ideas, you need to look for those themes that resonate across countries. And if you as Sophie was mentioning, you need to know your audiences. And if something like Robbie's movie on election violence in the previous elections in Kenya, I think that's a theme or an idea that resonates. I think it's popped up. It's an issue that's popped up in several countries around the world, especially across the African continent. And that discussion that people want to have, that sort of social discussion, and a really a tie to their everyday life and a way to think about things in a new way, I think is really a powerful element of film. And I think that draws people together from a bunch of different places because that theme is something that resonates. And so the more the more that you bounce ideas off of your Zimbabwean friend, or your friend, if you're from Kisumu, make sure you speak to somebody from Mombasa or Lamu about what resonates on a national scale. Or what resonates on a regional scale. I think there's some viewers probably from Rwanda and Ethiopia and Uganda on watching today. If you want to build that audience, speak to people and find those themes. Some of it is very commercial, but some of it is very relevant and very social. And maybe some of those that's a power of film, to really go viral on some of these big social issues that affect not just one community, but an entire nation or an entire region. And I think that draws people together, and look for opportunities to hear more about those. I think I know that you're broadcasting across the African continent, and the focus of this film festival was local languages and really people from different communities. And I think we have the US government at least supports things like the YALI network, the Young African Leaders Initiative, and the Mandela Washington Fellowship that brings people together. And that's one opportunity to exchange ideas like this. So even for filmmakers who might not think that the Mandela Washington Fellowship is, I think the tracks, they have certain areas of, but one of those areas is entrepreneurship. And I'd encourage filmmakers to really consider that track in applying for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, to meet people and hear about these ideas, policies, social issues that really resonate across audiences, across age groups, across regions. And that's one way to build some to find people who are interested in international projects, and to find international audiences for those, or even national audiences. I mean, I know in Kenya, there's to have a national dialogue on a bunch of on major issues facing the country, rather than maybe one particular region, it's an important issue, and that's something that film can really bridge the gap between communities. So just.
That's a lot. Thank you, Chris, for that. I think there are a lot of take homes for that, and we're going to look into that as filmmakers, my fellow filmmakers here. I think we can actually look into that. I know there's an age limit where certain age sets are not allowed in these fellowships, but I think it's still Akina David Waronja, and I think even Robbie, you can be able to get into these cohorts. But
no, I am 36 years old.
You're not too old, but I think you're out of the Mandela Fellowship. But I think there's some classes which they offer which you don't have to attend. They're just online, like the business classes and a couple of others. Thank you, Chris, for that. So I think I want to be very keen on the fact that you make movies in our native languages, which is very beautiful. And you've said it again and again, Mr. David and Mr. Robbie, that you're making these movies because they're meant for the people. It reminds me that the first film that I ever made was specifically for Kenya, and I was not interested in festivals or anything. And it's every person who gets to see this movie gets to talk differently about it because it's meant for Kenya. So I'm actually throwing this question to Robbie and David. What are you going to do if, as you are still attracting the international markets, to still maintain the voice, the native voice, and just speak to them? What are you doing?
With me, I still believe we can do our authentic stories in our vernacular language, but to the international standard. Pick for an example, the last film, the Parasite. If any one of you watched the Parasite that won the Oscar, it was done in Korean, but it was done to the international level. I still believe we can do it in our language, but with English subtitles. Just like Chris said, as long as we address an issue that is sellable internationally, you can do it in your language with English subtitles, but the issue should be relatable beyond the boundaries. You don't have to. Doing it in your language doesn't mean it's meant for your village. No, you can do it in your language. For example, let me give you an example. Where I come from, there's a historic story about somebody called Luanda Magere. It's an epic story. It's almost like the story of Samson in the Bible, but here, Luanda Magere also had those powers where his powers were in his shadows. Then it happens in the maybe in the 1000, those ages that we can't trace. Now, if I want to do that movie, that's a movie that can sell. It's a nice epic movie. But if I decide to do it in English, just imagine a Luo living in the native part of Kenya in the years of 1500 speaking English. I am lying. That guy has to speak Kijaluo. I only have to do it to a good level, then I give it English subtitle. We can maintain, but we just go with sellable issues, then we do it to an international standard. If we need to go 5K or 12K or 4K, if we need to do 5.1 sound, but we just do it in our language. That's my take.
Thank you, Robbie. David.
Yes, I agree with Robbie. It's about research, knowing what's going to appeal to the international market. First, doing the research, as Sipi was saying, and also writing something that is true to yourself. It all starts with you. What is true to yourself, true to your origin, from where you come from. If you can, if your people can resonate to that, I believe film has an international language. It will definitely appeal to the international market, and of course, subtitling, and that will give it an extra mileage on the international market. So research, know what will appeal to first to your people. That has to be key. The story has to be true to your people, to you as a person, to where you come from. And also try to incorporate other themes that are going to appeal to the international
Thank
market.
you, guys. I think we are almost, our time is almost out. I think my last query, and this is basically a question that we need to ask ourselves, because film is such a powerful force and it's such a powerful tool to basically tell stories in audiovisual. So what is it, and what are you adding onto the picture as Sifiwe, as Odongo, as David, and as Chris, and as Aldis, in maybe telling these stories? I'm not specifically asking what your stories are about, but what are we doing differently? What are the stories that we are portraying out there? With the idea that you can be able to use film for dogma, or maybe send ideas to people. Like, we know there are films that have been used, maybe post-colonial films, colonial films, things that have maybe affected us as maybe Africans. What are you doing? What are your stories about? And what are we going to do going forward? We can start with Robbie.
Okay, going forward, I as Odongo Robe, I believe Africa and Kenya has a lot of untold stories. A lot. Yeah, that is why I first, the reason why I'm doing Bangara is it's a story that will tell the world things that they didn't see on mainstream channels, because the things that news censor a lot of things. In fact, Bangarang is a Sarafina version of a Kenyan version of Sarafina. Like if you everybody who knows about Sarafina knows Sarafina raised a lot of discussions after that movie, and people started asking themselves so many questions. That is my view. There are so many things. I just started with post-election, but there are so many things that have happened. Most of 80% of my scripts are inspired by true events or based on true stories. There are things that the world must know. Moving forward is I want to show the beautiful part of Kenya that maybe somebody doesn't know. If you will watch my movie, you will see the beautiful Lake Victoria in Kisumu. You will see some historical sites like Kitbikai that very few people know about. And I know it's my duty to use my tool of film to tell Mr. Sifiwe to know about how beautiful my country is. So moving forward, it's telling my stories to the world and showing the beauty of my country to the world through my films. Thank you.
Thank you. David? Mr. David, you're on mute.
Yes. It is about my stories are about inspiration, giving hope, and the positive side of things. And I agree with Robbie. It's about showcasing Kenya, showcasing our stories, which are our untold stories. A lot of legends. Also, where I come from, there are a lot of legends that haven't been told, and I look forward to bring that on the international map and showcase our beautiful Kenya and also our beautiful culture and heritage. And and sticking true to the story and inspiring the world.
Thank you, David. Sifiwe?
Yeah, I would like to add on what the guys have said. Basically, what they've said is something that I also. Oh, but I just want to add, Chris. I'm 28 years old. Maybe I might qualify for those cohorts.
Yeah.
So, so I love telling local stories as well in South Africa. I like showing my culture. I grew up in Soweto, and what's fascinating is that when you meet people, for example, who are not from South Africa, and if you're gonna say Soweto, people will think, "Oh, Soweto, wow, that place that is dangerous, wow, the place that is there's crime." But that's what the media shows you. The media will show you something which is not there. For example, where Soweto is a beautiful place. I remember the other time I was in a taxi here in Kenya, and was speaking with the driver, and he was asking me where I'm from, and I told him about Soweto, and his reaction was he thought it's dangerous. No, I told him that it's a place that's now turned into a suburb because there's a lot of beautiful houses, beautiful areas, and a lot of tourists when they come, they go there, So that filmmaker that wants to show the beauty of where I come from, to show that Soweto is a beautiful place. Soweto is a place that has beautiful houses, for example. Johannesburg is a place that has beautiful houses, Durban is beautiful, Cape Town is beautiful, Nelspruit is beautiful. So, and also telling these stories in our also native languages. We have Zulu, we have Tswana, we have Xhosa, we have Setswana, so, there's Afrikaans, there's so many languages. So, and I like writing comedy, if I must say. I like, yes, I do drama, I do, but most of the stories that I like to tell, it's comedy because I like to laugh, and I believe people as well need to laugh. So, but the kind of stories that I'm gonna keep telling, are those kind of stories, and I love telling stories, things that happen in our community, things that growing up in Soweto, there's so many things that I heard, and some of the things that I heard are things that I put in my story, For example, Robbie did mention that there was a, story about a guy where he came from, who had superpowers. I find that those things are also there where I come from, where growing up you would hear that there was a horse that had 3 legs, and if you see this horse at night, things would happen, so, I'm gonna, carry on telling nice South African stories, but obviously, looking also forward to working with other, international filmmakers as well, and looking to distribute internationally as well. So yeah, but there's a lot of talent in South Africa, and Nairobi is a beautiful city. Since I've arrived, I've been going around. I went to Pipeline, which is a township this side, and when I was working around there, I was like to myself, damn, a beautiful story can come out of here. Look at the culture that's here. People are moving around. The kind of shots that you could be getting. As a director. So yeah. Nairobi is a beautiful place, and yeah, so far I'm having a good time.
Good stuff. I'm liking everything that I'm hearing. I don't know what, Chris, you can tell us about maybe a bigger world view and what maybe the world is looking to see.
Well, I would say, I think from my perspective and the types of projects that we can support from the U.S. Embassy side, the U.S. government, is we tend to, I like this idea that film is now more democratic than it has ever been. It's not, back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, it was a very small number of studios in the United States producing all of the films. It was a tightly controlled environment. And you needed to have, even 20 years ago when I was acting in films, it was so expensive to film on film. So it really ruled out a lot of people making stories about their lives. And now with the rise of the cell phone and the digital camera and editing software that anybody can have on their computer, it really offers the opportunity for people to really tell their stories in their own words, in a way that has never been available before. And I think we've seen things like the Humans of New York, the Instagram posting. It reaches a worldwide audience, and people can tell, share a story of themselves that really resonates with people around the world. And I think the more that we can support people telling their individual stories, I think the more we'll all learn about each other. I think I've heard about projects that teach filmmaking and basic editing skills to people, for example, in the disabled community, to tell, so that they can tell their own stories, not people from outside of their community. And I think that's what a lot of you are doing, that it's, the voice coming from within can really tell the story in a way that you can't. And that authenticity, that emotional connection is what resonates with audiences sitting at home. And nowadays film is also so intimate. It's not just the theater. You're sitting there in somebody's bedroom when they're laying in bed at night with their phone, inches away from their head. And that's really a powerful way that we can all share something of ourselves with someone across the world or across the city. And I think those are the types of projects that are available today, that in a way that's never been available before, that democratization of storytelling. And so it's exciting to see, and where the U.S. government can contribute. I'm happy to, if you have project ideas, our American corners around the continent have young filmmakers clubs or young journalist clubs to help support that initiative and that drive. And all of you make great mentors and great role models for all of those students and all of those people who want to tell their own stories. So thank you very much for all of the work that you do.
Thank you, Chris, for that. I have to point out that we had a guest, Mr. Greg, who did not make it, who works with Amnesty International. And he wanted to point out that the new frontier of filmmakers are creating movies that are basically talking about our lives and not just entertainment. So I think with that, I can also ride on that and also mention the same, that we are talking about stories that are going to impact the generation that we're in and even speak louder, because film is something that we will even leave behind after we're gone. So to wrap up with our session, this has been great. I would love for you to maybe speak to filmmakers. I think we are all young filmmakers because we're all starting up. The ones who are behind us and even the ones that we are with right here. Because in Africa, it's pretty new generally. So guys, speak to these people, tell them what just impact them somehow. We can start with CFUA.
I would like to tell my message actually to the filmmakers would be, keep pushing. Number one, don't wait to get funding. Just start. Just do something. There's festivals, that want cell phone movies, for example. So you can use what you have. I become so happy when I meet filmmakers such as Robbie, who didn't go to film school, but they are pushing, but they are, they are hungry, to push, they are passionate about filmmaking. So my message would be, you don't have to go to film school to start. You can definitely start. So, just start, just use what you have. Don't wait until you get funding to start. Whether it's a 2-minute short film, shot with a phone, one location, it's okay, but do something, And right now we have social media, which is opening so many doors for a lot of creatives. You can do your short film, you can post it online, people can share it, you can shoot another one, you don't have to do movies only, but you can do skits, there's so much that content creators can do, but also treat film, if you want to get into the film space, treat it as a business. Know your target audience. Who are you doing this movie for? Yes, we are passionate, we love this craft, you want to tell your story, you want to shoot it, but who are you doing it for? If you are doing it for a Kenya audience, you need to know which audience you are doing it for. If you are doing it for South Africa, you need to know which audience. If you are doing it for Netflix, you need to be mindful of what Netflix is looking for. So my message would be to treat film as a business, to do your research, and also to go out there. They are, support. The government is really supporting filmmakers. Do apply, even if you don't get a response, but don't give up. But don't let funding stop you from doing what you want to do. There are, business people who are willing to support filmmakers. But my advice as well would be, don't just go knocking without something in your hand. You have to have something in your hand, whether it's a 3 minutes short film, but you need to have something in your hand so that when you go knocking, people can believe in you, because it's hard for people to believe in you when you're just talking and you don't have anything. So, and also just keep pushing. For example, in the last 2 years, I think maybe I've done more than 5 feature films in just the last 2 years. So just keep pushing, even when you are about to shoot that movie. Prepare to write another movie. Don't just wait to get funding to start writing. Just keep writing, because you never know. For example, there's a movie that I wrote, and then that movie was shot 2 years later. So you never know. So keep writing. Keep rewriting your scripts. Keep perfecting your scripts. There are also festivals that are looking for scripts, so it's not just a movie. So if you have a script, do submit your script. In for example, in the USA, they have like the NICOL Fellowship, for example. You can submit your script in these platforms. You never know what can happen. So my message would be, filmmakers, keep pushing. Don't give up, and just keep creating content. I believe my mentor from the UK, Delton Grant, I remember before I started my film production company, he asked me, he said, what do you do? I said, I'm a filmmaker. And he said, you cannot call yourself a filmmaker if you haven't done anything. You cannot say you're a producer if you haven't produced anything. He said, just start, whether it's a 1-minute short film, just do something. Then you can call yourself a filmmaker. So my advice to the filmmakers, just do something. Start. Don't wait for anything. The time is now. Africa, salute. Media.
Mr. Robbie, let's keep it short so that you're not cut out. Yeah.
Okay. My message to the filmmakers out there is for the upcoming filmmakers. I just want to tell them, film is not for the faint-hearted. Before film starts paying you, you have to really pay film a lot with your energy, with your time, with your sacrifices. So if you're a faint-hearted, this business is not meant for you. I'm just trying to encourage you not to give up. Just do whatever you do best to do it. If it's writing, just write. Like Sifiwe just said, just write. I just said that my last film that was funded, I wrote it 3 years ago. I never knew this project would be there. Just write and put it there. If it's acting, just act. Just do what you do so that people know that about it and believes in you. In this and submit. We've submitted in over 200 festivals, whatever funds. Rejection is part of this game. You will get a lot of rejections, but you'll never know when the yes will come. They will start with the emails like, thank you for nini, but however, those emails you will get the rejection emails, but rejection is part of it. The last thing, authenticity. When you're doing a film in your local language, let's be authentic. Let's not do our local stories the American way. Let's do our local stories our way, but at international standards. I've met so many movies that the dialogue is not authentic. They're faking so many. Let's not ape or whatever they do. Let's learn from them. Yes, they're in another level. We have to learn from them a lot of things, but learn from them and do it our way. Lastly, Chris, you said you'll give us your contacts before you leave. Thank you.
Mr. Waronja?
My advice to filmmakers, to upcoming filmmakers, nowadays you are lucky enough that we can shoot an entire film on a phone. You can actually write a film on a mobile phone, shoot it, and even edit it and distribute it on your mobile phone. Just start small, start now, and as Robbie was saying, rejection will be part of the journey. All the no's, you get a lot of them, but they build up to a very big yes. We started making films 5 years ago. We've had a tremendous number of no's, but we didn't quit. We continued making films. As I said, we made a feature film, just the two of us, and we strived to complete it, and that gave us a lot of encouragement. Continue making films, do not quit. The brighter days are right ahead. It will eventually build up to something. Continue making films, start small, start now, and do not be afraid of failure, because that is one of the things that really hinder us from starting, being afraid of failure. Failure is the bridge to success. If you don't go through failure, then there won't be any success in the future. Do not be afraid of failure. Fail forward, learn from the mistakes, and keep growing. Do not repeat the same mistakes. If your film had some issues with sound, make sure you address that issue in the next film. Fail big, be bold, and eventually you.
Thank you, Mr. Aronja. What do you have to say, Mr. Chris?
Well, I guess my advice to, or thoughts after hearing all of this is really continue to surround yourself with great teams. Meet the people who can complement your skill set and who can bring out the best in you. If you need the business person who can allow you to focus on the creative stuff, find that. It's all about exploring and finding those teams and finding that that worldwide support network that will help you achieve your goals. You can't, no one can do it. No, well, maybe David can make an entire film, acting, producing, and doing the music and everything. But it's a community that to make a film, it takes a community, it takes a team. So keep exploring, meet new people, try new things. You never know where your inspiration is going to come from, and where that's one thing I've learned traveling the world as a diplomat. You never know what's around the corner. You never know who you're going to meet when you walk into the next room or the next event. And those are the people who can bring you inspiration. And just if I had one last thought, there's a play. I hope I'm allowed to mention a play to filmmakers, but it's a one-woman show called The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe. And there's the main character is trying to explain what it means to be human to a bunch of aliens. And at one point they go to a theater show, they go to a stage production, and the aliens turn to her and say, we get it. And she realized they weren't watching the stage, they were watching the audience. And that idea of a bunch of strangers sitting in a room together, laughing and crying and having a reaction to something together, that shared emotional experience was what it meant to be, that's to the aliens, that's what it meant to be human. And that's what it took for them to understand, what it meant for to be human. And I think as filmmakers, remember, that's the power that you have. Someone, whether it's in a theater, whether it's in 1,000 bedrooms at home on a screen in someone's hand, you're touching someone's lives, and you can heal them, you can make them laugh, you can make them cry. It's a really powerful, it's a lot of power and it's a lot of responsibility. So, I keep that in mind as you go forward, as you look for your inspiration.
Thank you, Chris. That was wonderful. And I think we're going to cut on that note. And it has been my absolute pleasure having you, Chris, Mr. Odongo, Mr. Sifiwe, and Mr. David. I am sure we are going to meet again because this is our world and art is our business. So Vigilance will share all our contacts and we will be able to Mr. Odongo, you have something to say? And Sifiwe.
Yeah, Chris promised us his email. We want to start writing.
So it's on the side chat. You can see it on the side chat. He already has it. Yes. It's
the
Mr.
private chat.
Yes. So it's there already, but Vigilance will also share all our contacts there, and we are able to communicate even beyond this panel. Sifiwe, you have something to say?
No. I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you. And thank you to Lake International Pan-African Film Festival. Now let me get ready for the Galatena. And yes, I'm happy to be in Nairobi. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, and I think this is it. Thank you, Amnesty International, for having us, Kenya Film Commission, and the French Embassy, and also the US Embassy. Thank you very much for hosting us, Vigilance and Dr. Zipporah Okoth. Thank you for the Lipff International Film Festival. We are so happy to have this conversation, and we will come again if you invite us. And this is Alice Kombani tuning out. Goodbye, people.
Thank you so much to all our panelists. We totally appreciate you for sacrificing your time and being with us. And for that, we welcome you all for the Gala Award ceremony that will be taking place this evening at the Kenya National Theatre. So looking forward to seeing all of you this evening. And let's continue with the vibrance and the passion that you have for the film industry. So see you all, and you can now enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and let's meet in the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.